G'day, it's Pete here. I'm here for a featured lesson on advances options. Now, I'll cover quite a bit today about who advancer is, what their bids mean. I'll give you a few different options about it because there's no just one set rule. And I'll talk about a couple of different options that you can use and also what I tend to use, which is pretty simple. And then a few of the different artificial bids that we want to cover today. So I'll just jump in to a hand. Now, the first thing is, who is advancer? Okay, you might not have heard of this term before, but the advancer is basically the partner of the overcaller. So if we know people's spots, there's whoever makes the first bid's the opener. That's not a pass, and the opener has a responder. Now, if the other side intervenes, the first one to intervene is the overcaller, and if their partner wants to bid, they're called the advancer. So advancer is just the responding to partner's overcall. That's basically all it is. Now, lots of people treat it exactly the same as responding to an opening, but it should just be slightly different. It's pretty similar, but you'll have a few different options and I'll cover what they are. Now, the first thing to note is that so if we look at the bids, and here we've got West to start. If West opened the bidding, my partner passed and this person bid, and now I bid in the fourth spot. I'm not the advancer because my partner hasn't bid. So to be the advancer, you need your partner to intervene first. So if this went, say, something like one club, one heart, doesn't matter if this hand bids or not, but as long as your partner intervenes first, then you're the advancer. If partner doesn't bid at all, you're not the advancer. You're just a normal overcaller. So it has to be a response to your partner's bid. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit about what advancers bids mean, and there's sort of three different things we usually want to cover, which is bidding a new suit, supporting partner, and either bidding no trumps is the third one. Now, bidding a new suit can encompass doubles as well as just bidding a new suit if doubles come up. Now, they're the sorts of three things that the advancer generally wants to cover. Now, there's a few different methods about what your bids mean. Now, there's sort of two main fields of thought, but I'll just briefly cover them. So I'll just give an example option. Alright, something like this. Now, obviously on this hand we've got spades, but ignoring the actual hand we're looking at, if we wanted to bid a new suit, there's sort of two fields of thought. Some people play new suits not forcing as advancer, and some people play new suits forcing. So I'll just briefly cover what the differences are. So the new suits not forcing people have just bidding at the cheapest level as natural and non-forcing, just sort of trying to get partner out of the suit. And other people play any new suit is natural and forcing. So they're the two methods. If you play the new suit non-forcing option, bidding something, say 2 diamonds, this would be non-forcing, can be dropped. You still have some amount of points and sort of be in the sort of invitational range, but not forcing partner to bid. Whereas if you wanted to force partner to bid, you actually had to jump a level. So the people that play non-forcing have just the lowest level natural non-forcing, and jump bids instead are natural and forcing. I, on the other hand, just play all suits natural and forcing. So if you bid a new suit at the 1 level, it's sort of 8 or more points, and if you bid a new suit at the 2 level, it's 10 or more points, but you're actually forcing for a round and don't actually need to jump. With advancer, if they choose to bid a suit at all, doesn't matter what suit they bid, any suit they bid should be a 5-card suit. So unlike Responder, this is one of the main differences here, which is when Responder bids, basically all suits they bid would be a 4-card suit. Can be slightly different in competitive auctions. But as Advancer, any suit you bid should be a 5-card suit. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to get at here is there's two fields of thought. It's important to, well, there's probably more than two, but two main ones, and it's important to discuss with your partner which one you're playing. And they're both fine, you just want to make sure you're on the same wavelength. Now, I just like to keep it simple and have all new suits of forcing and go from there. So, I've now briefly talked about bidding a new suit, such that if you're advancing a new suit, if it's at the 1 level and you're playing the new suit forcing method, you'll have 8 or more points in a 5-card suit. If you bid at the 2 level, you'll have 10 or more points in at least a 5-card suit. So that's how Advancer can bring in new suits. What about bidding no trumps? Now, this is very similar to Responder if they wanted to bid no trumps, but partner can actually have a weaker hand for their overcall. So if partner overcalls 1 spade, they can typically be doing this on as few as 8 points. So you don't want just one no trump response by the Advancer to be sort of 6 to 9 points as well, because that won't actually, you're getting yourself into a bit of trouble. So Advancer's no trump bids are just a little bit stronger. I usually play them about 8 to 11 for a 1 no trump bid, and sort of a good 11 to a bad 13 for a 2 no trump bid, and sort of 14 or so points for a jump to 3 no trumps. So if you're bidding after partner overcalls at the 1 level, 1 no trumps sort of 8 to 11, 2 no trumps, good 11 points to 13, and 3 no trumps sort of around a really good 13 to or more points. So that's what bidding your no trump ranges are. If instead partner overcalled at the 2 level instead of the 1 level, now they won't be bidding on an 8 count at the 2 level, so bidding 2 no trumps is sort of a really good 8 count, sort of still around the 8 to 12 points. It's a bit wider range because there's a little bit less, and bidding 3 no trumps is about 13 points. So that's how you can bid no trumps as the Advancer. And then finally, I'll talk about your options of supporting partner, which is good because if you look at this actual hand, we want to actually support partner. Now, I pretty much have supporting an overcall nearly exactly the same as supporting an opening bid. So I'm quite happy to advance it on 6 points with a fit. So I just have a 2-level raise, 6 to 9 with support, and I have jumping to the 3 level, so if we bid 3 spades here, is 4-card support, sort of 6 to 9. Sometimes 6 count, like you don't want to do it with really crappy 6 counts, but it can be done there. And if you jump to 4, this is typically 5-card support. So the level I bid it at is more based on support than the point ranges, and these are all sort of around the 6 to 9 sort of point range. The 4-spade bid can be even weaker than that. So you can show support by bidding 2, 3, or 4 is the weak hands. Now, any invitational hand or better, what I like to do is just put that through a Q raise. Now, what a Q raise is bidding the opponent's suit. So if we ever bid the opponent's suit, we clearly aren't interested in playing in the suit they bid. Now, you might pick up a hand with a whole string of clubs, such as on this hand, but it's far more useful to actually use this as saying, partner, I wanted to show you a raise. So I just use the bid of the opponent's suit as 10 or more points with a fit. And any invitational hand can go through that, and then if you're at the 10 to 12 level, you don't bid again. If you've got extra points, you can push partner up a bit. But always be wary if you're, even like 13 points, that partner might have just their garbage 8 count for their bids. But for a supporting partner, you've got 4 different bids. You've got 2 spades, 3 spades, 4 spades, and the Q raise. So if you've got 10 or more points, you put it through the Q raise. Otherwise, you look at what level of fit you have and bid accordingly. Alright. So in that short amount of time, I've sort of covered when partner overcalls, how you can show new suits, how you can support in no trumps, and how you can not support in no trumps, how you can bid no trumps, and supporting partner. One brief thing I didn't quite mention when bidding no trumps is you do need a stopper in the opponent's suit. You don't just want to bid with sort of 8 to 11 without stoppers. Anyway, so if we look at look at this real hand where it's gone a club, a spade, a pass. So we've got a couple of options here. Now, it's gone pass. We have a fit in spades, and we've got 9 high card points, but we've got a singleton heart. So if we count our shortage points, we're actually up to 12. So even though we've got 4 card support and 9 high card points, we don't want to jump to 3 spades, but instead we can just bid 2 clubs and tell partner we've got 10 or more points with a fit. And now, if partner is interested in game, they can bid anything else. So 2 spades here would be that absolutely sort of just go away, I've had enough, it's not working for me, I've got this random crappy overcall. If they bid anything else, it's just sort of natural. And 3 spades is invitational, or they could just bid 4 spades. Now, on the hand, they just bid 2 hearts. So it looks like they've got spades and hearts and an overcall. Now, we've got 9 high card points. Our 4th trump's kind of useful. But if partner's got hearts, our singleton heart isn't pulling as much weight as it could have done. If our partner's got only little hearts, that's useful, but it's more likely that they've got just some cards and hearts. So on this hand, I would actually just choose to bid 2 spades and possibly let that go. And I think there's a pretty sensible way to bid this sort of hand. You don't get too high. If the opponents did compete to 3 hearts or anything like that, then with the 4th trump, I'd be more than happy to compete to 3 spades. So even though we've shown our points, the 4th trump would allow me to push on and give that a go. So that's just an example of how you can actually raise your partner here. Now, excuse me. Some things that I didn't quite mention, which is when I was talking about bidding new suits, I said there's some people in the non-forcing category which have bidding at the lowest level is natural non-forcing but sort of invitational, and jumping is a forcing bid in natural. I just said I like to play new suits as natural and forcing. I haven't actually covered what a jump bid is in this other method. So in competition, what I like jump bids to be are fit showing jumps. Now what they show is sort of invitational hands with a fit for partner and another side suit. And what you're showing is 9 cards between 2 suits. Typically you'll have 5 cards in the fit showing jump, the suit you jump to, and otherwise you'll have 4 cards for partner. Now you're typically showing at least 9 cards and sort of a 2 suited hand. So if we had, say, another diamond instead, like move our king of clubs over into the diamond suit, we could possibly bid 3 diamonds instead of 2 clubs and show a fit showing jump there. So playing new suits forcing frees up this fit showing jump availability, and that's why I personally choose to use new suits as natural and forcing. Okay. So here, on this hand we don't have enough points to open, so we're just clearly going to pass. And it goes 1 spade, 2 hearts, and the opponent's bid 2 spades. So here's a slightly different advancing option, and this is where East got into the bidding as well. Now, our options here are pretty similar, but not quite the same. If we had a fit for hearts, we could raise hearts. If we had a game-forcing hand with a fit, we could actually Q-raise and bid 3 spades here. Now notice that I said game-forcing rather than just 10 or more points. And that's because if you use the 3 spade bid, your partner can't get out below game. So a 3 spade bid would now be game-forcing rather than 10 or more points. And our choices would, if we wanted to support hearts, would be 3 hearts or 4 hearts, showing different sorts of points, typically sort of 7 to 9 or just a fit, and jumping to 4 hearts would be sort of 10 to 12 or 10 to a bit wider range than that. Enough points that you're willing to give game a crack. But on this hand we don't have a fit, but we are a passed hand. So we do have some options on how to advance here. Now, East-West have said they've got a spade fit and partner's shown hearts. Now, we've actually got a really good bid for this sort of hand, and what we can do here is double. Now, at this point, this says partner I have both of the unbid suits. So you're telling partner you've got at least 4 clubs and at least 4 diamonds, and happy for them to choose out of that. It doesn't say anything about what your heart help is, or possibly in spades what you've got, but you're implying that you've got both minors and sort of 7 or more points. If you weren't a passed hand, it would probably be a bit stronger than that, but as a passed hand, you're quite happy to sort of get into the auction a little bit, and partner's not going to expect the world's best hand from you, and this will allow them to bid something like this. Just say, yep, okay, I kind of like clubs. How about we play here? So if the East hand does get in and continues the auction, if they show support and there's 2 unbid suits, a double by you says partner I have both of the unbid suits and enough points to advance. Now, bidding a suit at the 3 level, which should be 10 or more points, but you can double and on lighter hands. Now the reason that you can double on lighter hands is you're giving partner an option to pass 3 clubs and things like that. Bid 3 clubs which you can pass. Whereas if you just brought in a new suit, that would be forcing. Not in this case where you're a passed hand, but otherwise it would usually be forcing. So you can double lighter as advancer than you can actually bid a new suit. If you're a passed hand, you're more than happy to bid a new suit on something like a 6-card suit and sort of 8 or more points. So there are just a couple of different options you have available to you. Now, the opponents compete to 3 spades, which for them to bid 3 spades here, they would usually want a 9-card fit. Now, our partners bid clubs, but we've already described our hand pretty well, so there's no need to go on, so we can just pass that one out. Now notice that if we didn't use the double or get in, we wouldn't be successfully competing on this hand. So using double to show both the unbid suits in situations like this is very useful. Now, so this is talking about a situation where there's 2 unbid suits, what about if there's only one unbid suit? What does your double show? So ignoring the actual hand we've got, I'll just give you a auction. If you had an auction like this, these ones come up a bit. What is a double by this hand here? So now there's only one unbid suit, but some people play doubles as penalties when 3 suits have been bid. I personally don't particularly like that rule. I think I like double to be a lot more flexible than that. But clarifying what double is can be interesting. Now there's a convention called Snapdragon, which a Snapdragon double applies in this situation when 3 suits have been bid and you're the advancer. And what a double says is, partner, I have 5 or more cards in the unbid suit and precisely a doubleton in yours. So here, a double says, partner, I got 2 hearts and 5 clubs and enough points to advance. So Snapdragon doubles apply just in this situation, and unlike the other spot where they showed both unbid suits, there's only one unbid suit here. So using the double to say, partner, I have exactly 5 clubs and doubleton support, helps partner judge what level they want to possibly go in either clubs or their suit. And while this double doesn't come up too often, it is quite useful in knowing what it is and can be useful when it does happen. And it's got a really cool name, Snapdragon. Okay. So that's a bit about what your doubles as advancer mean. Now, for you to be able to double as advancer, either your partner's overcalled a suit and they've bid and raised, in which case your double shows both the unbid suits, or if they've bid and bid a new suit, then you've got the old Snapdragon available. The other situation is if partner's doubled instead, and it's gone something like 1 heart, double, 2 something like this. This double here would just be a takeout double, usually implying that you've got both minors, because if you had spades you might try and bid it. You're not strictly denying 4 spades, but some people have do slightly different things. So I just play this as a takeout double and could have like a 4-card spade checking for a 4-4 spade fit. Some people just play this as, partner, I got both minors, and if I had spades I'd just overcall it. So again, a couple of different options you just want to clarify. Make sure you and your partner are on the same wavelength and can go from there. Okay. So there, what doubles as the advancer usually mean. So there's 3 that I just covered. One, when your partner's overcalled and the opponents have bid and raised, and double just shows both the unbid suits. One where your partner's overcalled a suit but the opponents have bid a new suit and you've got the old Snapdragon. And this final one is when your partner's doubled and then you double again. And this is just takeout double. Okay. Pass. 3 hearts. Just trying to remember where this hand was meant to go. Okay. So here I'm talking about advances options as over preempts. So West, I'll just open it up for you, let you have a good old look at the whole hand. West preempted 3 hearts and your partner got in there and overcalled. And you've got 8 points and a balanced hand. Now, when you're bidding over preempt, partner's going to take a lot of leeway, well, has to push a bit, and sort of assume some stuff in your hand. Now, when your partner bids over a preempt, they're typically going to expect that you're going to be in the sort of 7 to 9 point balance range. Doesn't mean you're going to be in that, but that's sort of what the common hand will be. So usually if you're 7 to 9 points with a balanced hand, you don't want to bid too much, so you'd usually let it go. So here, even though I've got a fit and 8 points, I personally would just pass 3 spades here. Now, as a passed hand, I'm more inclined to bid, but my Queen Jack of Hearts are just absolute garbage, and I wouldn't be happy to pass and let that be enough. But if you move the Queen Jack of Hearts into a different suit, I'm close to bidding just because I'm a passed hand. If I hadn't passed at all, partner's already expecting you to have something when they bid over a preempt. So usually in the 7 to 9 points with a balanced hand, you can just let it go when partner bids over a preempt. Now, so on this hand, pass clearly works well. You might even go 1 down in 3 spades as it is, because you lose 2 clubs, 2 hearts, and a diamond loser, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's better than raising it to 4 spades. So if you're advancing over a preempt, give your partner a lot of leeway when they bid over it, because they're already expecting something from you, because the opponents have made them guess at a high level. Now, whether or not you've passed initially here influences the bidding, but you won't sway it too much. They're still going to expect something from you. So if you're an absolute max passed hand, or if you had sort of an unbalanced hand with a fit, they're the times you want to raise partner, rather than just hanging them out. Because they have a very clear 3 spade bid with this hand, with a really good suit, so letting that go seems fine. So if you're the advancer when they preempt, don't hang your partner for bidding too much. They're already expecting something from you. You're not obliged to bid in that sort of situation. Okay. Alright. Here, we're now advancing after a double. I briefly earlier talked about when it goes double, opening, double, raise, and it's up to you. But now I'll talk about advances options if they double. So there's 2 clear differences between if East bids a suit or if they don't. So I'll actually undo and say give them a pass for the first time. Now, if East pass, South has to bid. So even if they've got no points, they're still obliged to bid something here. Now, when you're bidding opposite a double, you're effectively supporting your partner. Because your partner says, I have support for all the other suits, and you're just telling them which suit you like, and then also giving them a point range here. So when you're advancing a double, or responding to a double, you are showing your point range along with what suit you like. Now what I typically do is, so we'll just look at the spade suit. If we just bid 1 spade, this is sort of about 0 to 8 points. So there's a few different ways that people play it, but I'll just talk you through the one I like to do. 1 spade's about 0 to 8 points. Usually 4 or more spades, very rarely could have 3, but 0 to 8. If you bid 2 spades, this is sort of 8 to 11, typically a 5-card suit, especially if you're at the sort of, usually a 5-card suit, but can be a 4-card suit. You're not promising a 5-card suit here. Now, if you jump to 3 spades, This is sort of 10 to 12 5-card suit, really encouraging partner to bid on. And if instead you jump to 4 spades, you'll always have a 5-card suit and sort of 13 or more points. Now, what do you do if you've got only a 4-card spade suit and sort of an invitational hand, sort of 11 or more points? Now, you can't jump to 3 spades or 4 spades with those hands, but instead you start with a 2-diamond bid here. You bid the opponent's suit. Now, what this says is, partner, I've got an invitational or better hand, and I just want to start a conversation with you and try and find a fit. And partner's obligation at this stage is to start just bidding their cheapest 4-card suits. So if they had 4 hearts, they would just bid 2 hearts. If they didn't have 4 hearts but 4 spades, they'd bid 2 spades, and then you'd be able to raise spades. Now, this 2-diamond bid is at least an invitational bid and could be game forcing, but wants to start a conversation. Now, I play this as forcing till you find a fit, or otherwise 2 no trumps. So, for example, 2 hearts pass 2 spades. This 2-spade bid is forcing. It just says, partner, I've got 4 spades, do you have a fit? And because you're at least invitational, if the north hand did have a spade fit for you, but were minimum, could bid 3 spades. But if they were maximum, they could jump to 4. And things like that. So if you're just in the invitational range, but you've only got a 4-card suit, you can start with bidding the opponent's suit and go from there. That's if they pass. What about if they overcall a heart? What changes here? If they bid a heart, you're no longer obliged to bid on the really, really weak hands. They've already taken out the double, so you don't need to bid with 0 points anymore. So any bid you make here is a bit stronger than that, but bidding at the 1 level or the lowest level, so if you bid 2 clubs or 1 spade, you're bidding at the cheapest level on either of those suits, and it shows about 5 to 8 points for this. Okay, so you've got 5 to 8 points with at least 4 spades. You still want to be slightly encouraging your partner and tell them what their suit is. So feel free to start bidding on these sort of weaker hands and get into the auction there. Other than that, all your bids are all the same. So 2 diamonds is your inquiry, or getting partner to start bidding their suits, and jump bids are still the same. The one unusual thing, so what a double here is also 2 fields of thought, and you want to make sure that your partner's on the same wavelength. Now, the old-fashioned version, or not old-fashioned, but what double used to be, it says, partner, I have hearts. This is a penalty double of hearts, or because your partner said they've got hearts, so if you double a suit your partner's implied, it used to be that this just said I've got a penalty double of their suit, and go from there. So this is one very common option, but these days the trend is now going to this just being a takeout double, showing both clubs and spades and allowing partner to compete in either of them. Now, the reason why the change in this double, so people used to psych 1 heart response over a double here, or psych any major response over the takeout double a lot more frequently than they do these days. So trying to expose the opponent's psych came up a lot more often. These days you don't need to do it as much. It's gone out of vogue and people don't do that sort of thing as much. Having the takeout double is quite useful. But that being said, you still might occur having someone psych against you. So if you're playing a takeout double, what I strongly recommend is this bid is natural and you'll have at least 5 hearts. Because if you're trying to expose a psych, you don't want to do it with just a 4-card suit. But you can have two hearts be, yeah, partner, I've actually got hearts. I'm not fussed if the East hand has hearts. I'm not fussed if they're psyching either, but this is actually my suit. So again, you need to be able to clarify with your partner which sort of wavelength they're on, because there's a lot of variation between styles, and there's no right or wrong style. You just want to make sure that you and your partner are doing the same thing and going from there. So that's advances options when partner doubles, and also when whether they intervene or not, and what you can do. If they happen to redouble, I largely don't get afraid by the redouble. If you've got so the first thing that happens is your strong hands are basically out the window. You're not going to pick up particularly strong hands here anymore. So what I like is 2 spade bid, just, you know, I've got a 5 card spade suit and sort of this sort of hand. If you bid 3 spades, that would just be, again, 5 card spade suit and a stronger hand, or possibly a 6 card suit. Now, when they redouble, it is really good to make sure that you're still willing to jump around in the auction, because lots of people completely misuse the redouble, and they often do it with support for their partner's hand. Now, a redouble very rarely should have support for their partner's hand. If they do, they should be knowing where they're going. But people often misuse a redouble because they're not quite used to them. They don't come up that often. But if they do, don't let that frighten you out of jumping in the auction. You do want sort of extra trumps to be jumping around, but if you can take away space from them, it can really mess them up and punish them for a really poorly judged redouble, and go from there. Alright. One club, one heart, one no trump. Alright. Now talking about advances options, when the opponents bid and respond a no trump. So again, this situation's slightly different. So we previously talked about if the responder had continued with a new suit, or if responder had continued with supporting their partner, what our options are. Now firstly, a double here, not that we have a double on this hand, should be take out of clubs. It says, I don't have a heart fit for you, but I've got a take out double of clubs. So I've got spades and diamonds. So if you double a no trump here, it should be take out rather than penalties. If partner had passed and the auction had gone like this, double here is not a penalty of 1 no trump. It's different to a 1 no trump opening. The opponents have mentioned this suit, and this option, club, pass, or no trump. Double is just take out of the suit they've opened. So here, a double like this would be take out of clubs. Now, partner had bid on this option. So here, double, still take out of clubs, but it says I don't actually have heart support for you. So I've got both the unbid suits. Now, we don't actually have both the unbid suits. So on this hand, I would actually venture in with 2 spades. Now, a bid a new suit, but there's a lot of bidding going on here. So I don't think a new suit here is natural and forcing. It should just be I've got a good spade suit and I can go from there. If you wait for a hand that wants to force here, you're going to be waiting too long, because West has 12 or more points. East, depending on their methods, might have as much as 6. And your partner's got 8. So the opponents already have 18 points. So your side, unless they're doing something really dodgy, which they usually don't in this situation, your side's at best got 22. So having this as forcing here isn't as useful. So in this sorts of situations, because there's been so much bidding going on, I think a new suit here is just non-forcing, but you know, partner can raise it with a good fit and go from there. But you can bring in your suits like that. And I believe this might be my final hand here. So this really depends on what their methods are, but let's say it goes 1 spade, double, 3 spades. Now here, advancing a double. This hand you've got 8 points. You're quite happy to bid. You've got a pretty nice hand. The one cautionary thing I want to mention is that when partner says they've got a shortage in spades and you've also got a shortage, you want to be a little bit cautious because you're typically both double counting your shortages. And it's possible that sometimes your partner just had that really strong hand that wanted to double and bid again, if that's the case. Now when the opponents jump raise the suit like this, probably not the case and you can bid accordingly. But if partner makes a take-out double and you've also got a shortage, be a little bit cautious, but this hand is well worth a 4-heart bid. And you're happy to bid on from there. You might even continue with another bid after this and compete to 5 of the minor, because you know it's one of these freak distributional hands where they've got a huge spade fit and you've got obviously multiple fits. Anyway, that's all I've got here today. So I've covered lots of different options for Advancer. So I covered who Advancer is, and that's the partner of the overcaller, the person who's trying to respond to partner's overcaller. And I've talked a little bit about what do Advancer's bids mean, and there are a couple of acceptable methods, and you want to discuss this with your partner. Some people play new suits as non-forcing and that you jump to show strong hands. I personally keep it simple and just play new suits are forcing. If you bid at the lowest, the 1 level, it's 8 or more points with a 5-card suit. If you bid at the 2 level, it's 10 or more points with at least a 5-card suit. The one thing that does happen is if you bid a new suit, you're showing at least 5 if you're the advancer. If you're playing new suit forcing, this then frees up the jump bids, which can be used for fit showing jumps and other artificial bids like that. Now also, if you're the advancer, if you want to advance in with a no trump, you want to be a little bit stronger than responder. So if you advance 1 no trump, it's sort of about 8 to a bad 11, 2 no trumps, good 11 to a bad 13, and 3 no trumps, good 13 or more points. And if you're supporting your partner, if you've got an invitational or better hand, you typically use the Q raise, so you go through bidding the opponent's suit. Now this is a very good convention, and Q raises can't be overstated enough. It's a great way of supporting partner. And then this frees up jumping as sort of more preemptive bids and things like that. I also covered sort of advancing doubles in different situations, whether there's 1 unbid suit or 2 unbid suits or things like that, and what the doubles show there. And yeah, covered a couple of other things, but I've just blanked them out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this lesson and it cleared up a few of your questions about Advancer's options. Thanks for watching and see you next time.